All right, we're going to move right into reasons why people don't build successful agencies. So one of the things that I've seen a lot of individuals either coming into the business and they're currently licensed, or new people that come into the business, they figure they know it all. And what I mean by this is the most successful people in any business have a beginner's mindset. There's a quote from Socrates on his deathbed saying, "The one thing I know is I know nothing." And I think if you come into this business and keep that type of mentality and keep that growth mindset, I think the sky is the limit. I think where you really start to not evolve and not have successful habits and traits is when you become that know-it-all and you don't keep that hunger, that beginning mindset for you to really put in that effort that's going to reap results. The next scenario I see a lot of people come in, especially if they're coming from a W-2 world into a self-employed environment, is they feel like they're very conservative. And this business is a business for people that have an offensive mindset. When you think of the most successful managers out there, the Mark Meads, the Andrew Taylors, John Wetmores, Mike Killaments, they have an offensive mindset. They're never worried about their bottom line. They're worried about their top line, meaning trying to grow their income, because we can always make adjustments to the bottom line as you get years under your belt. Your job is to be a top line person. How do I get my top line as high as possible? So then you're starting to drive revenue. Being conservative with leads, being conservative with hiring, being conservative not putting your name out there, being a secret agent like Brian Mendenhall talks about. These are all aspects that are going to hinder your business. So go on offense and you'll see huge results. The next thing I would say is a lot of people come into this business and they overpromise and underdeliver. And when you overpromise and you underdeliver, the only one that really is affected by that is you and your confidence. The best way for you to build confidence in this business is for you to keep the promises to yourself. When you start keeping promises to yourself, like when you don't feel like dialing and you do it anyway, when you have a full day in the field and you have an appointment that you're going to maybe not go to, but you go anyway, those are how you build the habits and traits to become extremely successful. Those are the memories and moments that you can share with other agents that go through the same thing that you do, that can help really drive up your business as well. The next scenario that I've seen a ton of people struggle with is the people that are more fact-driven, more basing their whole experience off of logic versus emotion. The one scenario that I see that's constant with individuals in this business, especially as they become more and more successful, is they start to ask themselves, what is the price that I have to pay in order to get where I'm going to go? The biggest difference for the top managers and most successful people in any business is they don't worry about the price. They already understand that this process and journey is worth it. So once you determine it's worth it, you understand what comes with worth it. What comes with worth it is 8 hours of dialing in one day. What comes with worth it is a massive schedule with no white space. What comes when it's worth it is you sharing the opportunity with every individual that you possibly can in order to get what you want out of this business. So the big difference is your emotions can be bad. I talked about that in the last segment, but emotions are bad generally in business. However, you still have to be fired up about it. You still have to be excited about it. You still have to wake up thinking about it, go to bed thinking about it. I remember my first probably 5 years in this business. I was literally waking up and going to bed thinking about every customer, every client, every agent, all these different aspects. I could hardly sleep due to the excitement I had in this business. So if you want to become super successful, then you've got to really tie into the good emotion that you have, your excitement level, because when it gets hard, you're going to forget. And your logic, if you listen to your logic, oh, you just got a chargeback. You shouldn't buy those leads this week because you got a chargeback. You start to justify things. Oh, I'm going to pay my mortgage payment that I could pay in 2 weeks instead of buying leads. Offensive minded. Logic never wins versus emotion in this business, because logic will tell you to quit. You need to fight to get to months 10, 11, and 12, trailing commissions. You get 75% up front in your advance. Months 10, 11, and 12 is where you get to that extra 25% of your commissions. You get vested renewals on after your first year on all your permanent products. These are important aspects to hold on to, because it just gets that much easier, but you need to understand that it's going to be worth it. The price that you pay will be far less than what it's truly worth in the end. And if you don't pay the price, I promise the price that you'll have in the end is that much more detrimental. The next aspect is having a me mentality. So this is probably something that haunts a lot of top producers, because I know this is something that I have struggled with in the past, is if it's all about you all the time, then you're really never going to help others the right way. And this even comes from if you're just a single producer. If you're a me mentality, what's in it for me, what's in it for me, even with your clients, that will show you won't capture sales. If you don't care about individuals, this is not the right business for you. Sean talks about that all the time. You have to care about the people that we're protecting as well as the agents that we're working with. These are all aspects, and people can see that throughout the entire process. So me mentality will get a high personal production maybe at best, but you'll be shortcoming throughout the entire process if you don't stick with trying to help other people get what they want, so in turn it will get what you want, right? The other thing I would say that dovetail right into this is becoming a king versus a kingmaker, or a queen versus a queen maker. So the biggest thing that dictates success is how many people you start to develop. So you should always be challenging different agents, and you'll know the ones that want to work and respond well. And by the way, developing people doesn't mean we micromanage them. Sean Mike talks about that a lot. Micromanaging people is not a good way to lead. It's giving them enough rope for them to experiment and take the ball and run with it. And then when they ask you for the feedback, you're able to course direct them, steer them in the right direction to get what they want. There's a big difference. It's a tug of war. It's a push and pull when it comes to leadership. You should be able to develop people, and you should be able to look behind you and say, look at all these vice presidents. Look at all these different sales managers I have. Look at all these different agencies that are winning, not because of you, but because you were able to help them enough, and then they took the ball and ran with it. It's a huge deal for most people. The other scenario is people that are entitled. So if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of gratitude and you love taking credit, but you won't take the blame, that's a problem. If you're someone that thinks they deserve a trophy when you haven't done anything, boy, what are you teaching your kids, right? So being entitled is never a great way to go in business. You've got to be grateful for this opportunity. It is a game-changing opportunity for you and your family, and you need to understand that as well. So the other aspect is you're not willing to get your hands dirty. I think in 2019, the one piece of credit that I could give myself is I'm willing to get in the dirt with agents. I'm willing to do phone scripts in-home, talk about underwriting with every individual that we hire, because I want them to become successful. I want them to have the tools and knowledge to become successful. So, but you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. I think before I might have passed it off to a mentor or a scenario, and what I've learned is there's no substitute for you in this business. There's no substitute. Some things should be delegated. The $10, $15 an hour job work should be delegated to staff and other aspects, but there's no substitution, remember, for you in your business. The next scenario is you're trying to outsmart work. So the minimum requirement is hard work, okay? And then people always ask, it's scary when I've heard this question at a convention to Sean Mike. It was questions that were like trying to figure out the smartest way to work the least and be the most efficient. In the beginning of this business, especially your first 5 years in this, the minimum requirement is hard work. The minimum requirement, you should be putting 60, 70 hours a week in. If you're Ivan, you're doing 80. Those are minimum requirements. The difference is the people that learn how to put the minimum of a great work ethic in, and they're willing to put smarts behind it, compounding effect, and you go from there. The people that want to outsmart everything, but they're not willing to work, are going to be down here. So those that truly want to win understand you need to be smart and effective and efficient, but you also have a baseline of hard work. There's no substitute for it. I think the greatest thing about this business is you're able to outwork your problems. This business is incredible because you're able to make a huge amount of income in a short period of time and change your outcome quickly. The next scenario that I see is people have a lack of vision. So I spoke about the vision boards before, how effective that can be for people, but they don't understand the longer they stick with something, the more successful they be. Think about the most successful people in any industry. It's simply because they didn't quit and they stuck with something for a long period of time to help them propel throughout their entire career. So your job is, if this vehicle is for you, if you're passionate about it, if you can't wait to wake up and go to work, I'm telling you right now, this is your chance, because you have the right vision. You know why you're doing it. Maybe it's your charities that in your local area. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's your kids. Maybe it's the house or the car or the boats or material things, which is nothing wrong with that either. Maybe those are the things that drive you. And by the way, those things can drive you in the beginning, and those things can change and evolve, and it's okay. So keep your why in front of you, have your vision in front of you, so when you get no-showed, when you get a chargeback, when you get rescheduled on, when you get a no sale, when you help an agent out and they don't deliver, you're not upset about it. You understand that that's the price you pay because it's going to be worth it. You already decided it's going to be worth it. You don't have to worry about the price anymore. That's a huge mindset difference. So the next thing that I see a lot of people is they have a fear of adapting. The one thing that you need to understand right now for everyone on this call is you're not good enough, me included. You're not good enough right now. You need to get better. You have to evolve and adapt or you'll die. And that's huge in any business. So if you're someone that is a know-it-all, it's not going to work out for you. The last thing that I would cover is someone that won't admit their mistakes, like whether you're above something. Sean talks about that a lot. If you're above doing the work, if you're above getting your hands dirty, if you're not willing to admit the mistakes you've made, then how are we supposed to develop and get better on these other aspects of the business? So these are huge things that you need to pay attention to in order to build a massive agency. And the big difference is, if you're willing to put in the work and put in the work for long periods of time, and I don't mean that long, 2, 3, 5 year period of really putting the work in, it will change your life and your family's legacy forever. And guess what? It is worth it. The time is now. So I'm going to move into phone tips next.